I'm delighted to say that I've actually got a calendar after all for this for next year. The original batch unfortunately had a major printing error, so they all had to be binned. After a few very nice events locally, I've managed to bite the bullet and order another batch of calendars, and this time they've come out perfectly. As you can see, it's a wildlife calendar, so there's various different animals. I thought I'd take you for a little wander through it. And on the first page we've got Yarko, the snow leopard, and this one was done all in pastels. Yarko is the father of these two lads, and the piece is called Laylas Boys, but Yarko was the dad. Perhaps I should have called it Layla and Yarko's Boys instead, but never mind. So the two boys are there lying on mum's tail. And as you can see this year, the layout's a little bit different, so you've got a bit more space to write notes or appointments. And on the next page, we've got one of my relatively new ones called Thunder. When I was initially planning this one out, I did give it more of a stormy background, but when I was drawing it, I didn't like the idea of putting more of a background in with him. I quite like the simplicity of the feathers and the granite at the bottom. The name, however, in my mind stuck, so it carried on being called Thunder, even though the thunder has actually disappeared. And here we've got Just for Fun. I saw this little otter and he was playing with his stone. He kept constantly throwing it up and catching it, throwing it up and catching it. He'd scurry off, run round the enclosure and then come back and throw his stone up and down again. So definitely having a lovely time playing with that. And the next one is a meerkat. His little muddy nose. Now what I liked about this close-up was his little tooth peeping through. I've got more pictures of meerkats, so I shall have to do some more in the future. They're very photogenic, easy to photograph because they stay still for such a long time. Then this little blue tit was sat on top of a tree outside my house, and when I took the photograph, the background totally blew out, so it was just a pure grey background, which worked perfectly for this piece. So I could just catch the little bits of light that were backlit, and it worked really well. This one's now available as a tutorial, both a digital download and as a printed booklet from my website. That's June. And then for July we've got a seal swimming. And I loved the water on his coat and how it made it look so glassy and smooth. This one I did using oil pastels and Prismacolor pencils, which are quite a waxy pencil, which was great to give the lovely smooth blends. And then for August we've got a close-up of Incandescent, the full picture being on the front cover. It's a bit of a balancing act with trying to do calendars because some of my pictures are horizontal landscape format and some are vertical, so trying to get a calendar to work around that isn't always easy. And I quite like the intensity of having him more close up. And then Kitty by the Fire. This one was inspired by a piece I did several years ago. It was my own cat, and I'd got her with horns and a pointy tail and then a really flaming background behind her. And then when I was on holiday a couple of years ago, I took some photographs of some wonderful sunsets. It was just off Portland Bill in the south of England, and it reminded me so much of the pictures that I'd done before, and I thought, right, I'm going to do that again, but this time we'll use a big cat instead. So, and the name Kitty by the Fire was going to be changed, but then by popular opinion I kept it for this one as well. I quite like the idea of a big cat by a great big fire. And I must have a thing about red with black jaguars, because when I did Neron, I didn't even remember about that one. It was just a case of I wanted a sweep of red behind him to just pull him away from the black background. Neron's a beautiful cat. His back end has got gorgeous coppery tones that are visible even when it's not bright sunshine on him. Some of the black jaguars, you have to have the light to see their markings. With him, his markings show up quite clearly. And then we've got our Kayle for November. This again is a closed-in shot, a close-up shot. Our Kayle normally, he's only 6x8, he's quite a small piece, and he's also available as a tutorial, as a booklet and as a PDF. But I thought it was quite nice to have a close-in version of him, so you can see all the detail. And then for December is the little Robin, joyful and triumphant. He was drawn with coloured pencils, and again it's a tutorial piece, so you can get him to draw yourself. And with this one, what I've done is he's with coloured pencils and so's the brickwork, the stonework, but the snowflakes I added extra just because it was on this Christmassy page, and I added those with digital after the event. So I think it gives him a little bit of a softer Christmassy feeling without being too obvious. There we go. And then on the reverse of the calendar, we've got miniature pictures of each of the pages. So I hope you like the mix I've chosen for this year. If you have any ideas for next year's calendar, not next year's, but 2022, and I can start working towards that, we'll see what we can end up with for that year. Thank you for watching.